I'm Christy,
And I'm Kathy.
and this is The Psychic
And the Skeptic. Welcome to The Psychic and the Skeptic. And on this special episode, we are featuring Kim from Kendall's restaurant and an interview that Christy and I did with her to discuss her experiences with the paranormal at her very own family-owned restaurant.
Okay, so we want to welcome our dear friend Kim. She is co-owner at Kendall's. So welcome, Kim. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for asking me.
We appreciate it. Now, you know that we are a big fan of Kendall's, always has been, especially with those yum cinnamon rolls and the chicken fried steak. So I have a question for you. Tell us about that chicken fried steak challenge, and has anybody actually won the challenge?
Oh, yes, quite a few people. We've probably had about 100, but we have a lot of the professional eaters, the competitive eaters that come. If you go to our YouTube, you'll see lots of them. Randy Santel, Beard Meets Food. And we've been really fortunate because the Beard Meets Food, who's from England, is probably the most popular one. He is darling, and he is a big fan of ours. As a matter of fact, just this last week, he was doing a challenge somewhere else, and they asked him what his favorite one was, and he still says that it's us. And so
Aw,
we love him. We love him. Yes.
that's
But lots
great.
of people
I
can do
knew
it.
you had famous locals, but I didn't realize you were branching out here. So that's
Oh, yeah,
awesome.
we've got them all over the world. Yeah. It's fun. It's really, really fun.
So that's one thing Kendall's is famous for.
And the
That
cinnamon
and the
rolls.
cinnamon rolls, of
Yeah.
course, can't leave those out. Kendall's is also famous for.
It's hauntings. But hang on, before we go there, I do have
Yes.
to ask a question. Kim, is the cinnamon rolls, is that your recipe? Or is that like a grandma's recipe or what? Because those things are the bomb too. Not real good for diabetes, I will say, but they
Um,
are good.
I'm sugar free because my mom was diabetic, but it just
Oh,
it just doesn't work. It doesn't. But no, that was my mom's recipe. My mom made those forever, and Kendall got to where when she was little, she would walk around the restaurant and hand them to people. And then eventually people started asking for them when they came in. And so it went from her making a dozen here and there to now we make hundreds every day. So
Wow.
wow.
free with every meal.
Wow. Well, I know whenever we come in there, you treat us just like family. And over the years, I was telling Kathy, our first investigation there was September the 8th of 2012. Time has
Wow.
just,
It's been a long time.
Shorter, we're getting younger.
Right.
that's what they say. But, that old saying, life is like a roll of toilet paper. The quicker you get to the end, the faster it goes. And we never tell our age on this podcast anyway. So, but I guess we have some questions for you that we would like to, just ask and get everyone acclimated to Kindle. So, but right off the bat, me and Kathy were having this debate as we were looking over our notes. And so you've got to settle this debate for us, Kim. Wasn't there an alleyway in between the front part of Kendall's and the back part once upon a time was there shops and an alleyway there? Can you clarify that?
Yes, there was an alley, sort of where the hallway is, but and the back part of the building was built later and all combined. From what I understand, 100 South Main, which is the original part of the building, which was built in 1909, and that was built, and it was Stuffle Beans grocery store. And behind that, and we've only found this out really just recently because the family still comes in. They still own a funeral home in Pauls Valley, and they had a funeral home in the back part behind the alley for many years. So there was an alley there, and there were buildings. There were apparently livery stables and stuff like that at one point. But the building that's back there now was not original. That was built later. But there was a funeral home back there owned by the same family, Stufflebeans.
Okay, that's
yes, 'cause we know
probably
about-
where I saw the coffins from then. Remember?
Yeah,
I had
so-
got the psychic impression about the coffins, and you were like, I don't think there was a
Yeah, I was
coffin
trying to
store.
remember where the alley was. So if you were to split Kendall's in half at the hallway where the restrooms are, is that
Yes.
where the supposed
For the-
Yes, okay.
which happens to be one of the most active parts of the restaurant.
Right.
Yeah,
Strangely.
we've had experiences there too. I remember.
Right.
We're going to talk
Okay.
about some of those during this podcast.
I feel like I don't know if there are more there, but that's a quieter area. So maybe it's just you just notice them more there, or maybe it is more there. I don't know, but that certainly is a consistent area. But we didn't know about the funeral home really just until the last few years when the family came in and told us. So I don't know if it's even written down anywhere. I don't know how long it was there, but yeah, I would say that you would have seen some coffins.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, in what year did you purchase Kindles and what it inspired its name? And so I know that you also co-own that with Dee. And if Dee, if you hear this, hi, bud. But yeah, in what year did you purchase it? Did you purchase it with Dee or did you purchase it by yourself? And then to tell our listeners, how did it get its name?
Well, my mother owned a lot of restaurants. She was a serial restaurant opener, I like to say. She opened the original Little Kendall's in Purcell, Oklahoma, in a little bitty building. And she opened it in 1986. And she was waiting until I was pregnant at the time with her first grandchild. And of course, back then we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. And she waited until October 16th when she was born. And she came to the hospital and she said, "What did you name her?" And I said, "Kendall." And she picked up the phone there in the hospital and called the awning people and said, "The name of the restaurant is Kendall's." And
Oh,
it was named after her on her birthday, so it's really easy for me to remember. And she was there for 4 years, and that building was tiny and old, and it was actually condemned. And so she moved it to where it is now. And we moved there and bought it from her 3 years later. And it was myself and my husband at the time, and Dee, who was our friend. And we all just started working there, moved there, and bought it. So I think we bought it in 1990 or 92, maybe. I don't know. It's been in the family though. My mother started it.
okay. And did you know that the restaurant was, Kindle's was haunted at the time that you bought the building?
No idea. No, not at all.
Okay. So what was your first paranormal experience there at Kindle's where it really got your attention to say, we bought a haunted building?
There were lots of incidents where kids would tell us that things happened and customers, but I laughed all of those off. But I closed the restaurant at night, and I would say that was probably around 2011 and 2012. And as I said, there were lots of things that happened in the years before that, but I would close up by myself. And every night when I would go to close, I would go to the back and we had a little toy area that the toys would be everywhere and the lights would be back on. And I just thought for the longest time, this is the kids not closing up well. I would hear what I always say sounds like a radio, a staticky radio. And I would go looking for it. That there's somebody, one of the dishwashers had left a radio. Whatever room I went into, and Kendall's, there's lots of rooms.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever room I went into, it would sound like, no, it was just in the other room. And I would walk all over. And it didn't frighten me at that point. I was starting to think, okay, this is consistently happening and all of that. But we had a lady that came in and she was a customer and she called me over one night and she said, "I am a medium and do you know this place is haunted and you should probably get it checked out." I still didn't do it, but she gave me you guys' deal. She said they're reputable. And I probably 2 days later, we had an incident where I was driving home and the alarm constantly went off. And when we came back, there was nobody there. I was driving home and I had a guy behind me that lived in a house that had a key that would go over and turn the alarm off when that happened, because I live about 20 minutes away. I was driving home and he called and said, the alarm is going off again. And he said, I'm over here and you need to turn around and come back. By the time I got back, the police were surrounding the building. Every light in the entire building was on,
Wow.
and doors were standing open, and they thought that there was someone inside. We came in and we walked all through the building. Things were everywhere. Every light was on. Remind you, I had left 10 minutes before. And I turned around and handed me my key back, my guy from behind, and he said, I'm not coming back over here again by myself.
Oh,
And that's
no.
whenever I called you guys. I was like, okay, this is getting bigger than anything I can discount.
Right. That's pretty significant. The
Yeah,
lights and doors all at once.
that definitely get my
I mean, I
attention.
vaguely remember that story too, and how, you had mentioned before that your alarms had been going off.
Yeah. I
Constantly
didn't,
in the
yes,
hallway. The
Right.
hallway doors, they were constantly going off, and they're doors that we didn't use.
Right.
So
Yes, you had a table
made no
there. They
sense.
were locked. There,
Yes.
we couldn't get
Yeah.
in and out of there. Yeah.
In fact, I remember one night when we were investigating there, we actually had one of our motion detectors. We had it facing the outside door, so none of us would set it off from the hallway. And that darn thing went off a time or two. And I know we have the audio recording of that.
Right.
We'll have to
Mhm.
play that at some point. So, Kim, did you ever have a security system, installed there? And if so, did you ever catch anything on video before we arrived, or even since we've been there investigating it?
Um, I didn't have a security system at that time as far as cameras. I have had a camera since then. And to be honest with you, we have one camera that, because we're watching it when we're open, and it is the camera that is, where the hallway is, the room that when you're coming forward, the room that has the round table in the middle,
Yeah.
that camera has fits. It's, there's stuff going, and I don't know, it could be dust, it could be, but none of the others do it. That camera consistently has things. It'll go off, it'll go on. I don't know. It's right there by that hallway. Like I said, it consistently is a problem. The others, they don't. So I
All
don't
the
know.
same make, model, came in a kit,
It
kind of.
all came, well, we have it's a professional system that,
Right.
is monitored and all of that. It's the only one. And I've had them look at it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It isn't doing anything wrong. It just has things going in front of it all the time. The kids will always come and look at it. I mean, that could be just an extremely dirty area. I don't know, but none of the others do it. None of them. And we have, I think, 16 cameras.
Wow.
No, I think there's something to it because this is the same area that
Yes.
that I mentioned that the motion detector went off on. And
Mhm.
this is also funny, but at least I think it's funny. But this is also the same table that we sit at when we come to Kendall's to have
Uh-huh.
dinner. So
Yeah.
we should get
People
a,
ask for it. People
Yeah.
ask for that. They'll say, "Where's the most haunted area?" And I said, "Well, the ghosts don't really care. I mean, I don't think that they have an area that they can go through walls and all of that. So the whole place is haunted, but the most active area is definitely right there."
Yeah.
right. We should get us a picture of our group and just have Kim hang it up in that area.
We should.
Say like OKPRI table or so I don't know, something very
Verified haunted.
yeah,
The official
verified
haunted table. Yeah.
right.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah.
that area actually, and I never ever thought of this until this moment, but where that camera is, right below it is a round booth. And that is where Leslie, the medium, was sitting when she called me over there that night and said that
Ah.
and I never thought about that until just now. So,
Right. Well, I tend to think maybe that whole area is kind of like a spiritual pathway. And like the two of them, the front side of the building and the back side of the building are kind of connected, but in between them, it feels like a pathway. And I remember being there doing an investigation once, and I actually crossed a bunch of souls over. Now, these were transients that were in the area. They weren't, the original ghosts that were there to Kindles, but it was like a spiritual highway in a sense that these
mhm.
spirits took. And I can't help but wonder if that has something to do with it. Now, I know Kathy's sitting over here saying, oh, whatever, Christy, you're off your rocker again. It's that skeptical view. But
Hey, girls, I want to tell you a story that happened the other day, but it kind of goes with what you said about the transient spirits. And I mean,
Uh-huh.
I always feel like that we're just open and we're welcoming. I don't know because I don't know, but anyway, so this was about a month ago, and in the very front part now we have the museum of the women, and
Mhm.
all the costumes have been donated either by the artist or by their family members if they've passed on. Well, one of the artists, and I'm not going to say her name in case her daughter hears this because I don't think she's real open to this and I don't want to cross any lines,
Sure.
but it was one of my mom's favorites, so I was very familiar with her. And she's passed on, and her daughter contacted me and said she had never seen the display. She lives out of state and wanted to know if she could come and see it. But she was going to be in town only for one day while we were closed. And I said, of course, I'll come down there and open up for you and show it to you. And right now we are in the process of remodeling that entire area. So we've kind of got workers in there a lot anyway. So I had two of the boys that work with me in there, and we were in there working, waiting for her. And I had just been back in my office and changed clothes because they had just contacted me and said that they were all on their way and they'd be there in about 5 minutes. So I go up front, and the boys are over. You're not going to know how, I don't know how to explain it. They were a long way from me. I was kind of standing by the very front doors there waiting for them. And the door that goes into the restaurant was right behind me. And I'm standing there, and behind me, a woman's very deep, gravelly voice, which sounded exactly like this particular artist, I realized later. But at that moment, I hear it behind me, and it just as plain as day said, "Hey." And I mean, it startled me because it was very loud. And I turned around, and of course, there was nobody there. And then I turned back around, and the two boys that were standing across the room from me, one of them looked like he wanted to run as fast as he could. He said, "Are you on your phone?" And I said, "No." And he said, "What was that?" And I said, I don't know. You heard it too?" And I mean, I let them go to lunch because they were both so shaken up by the whole thing. Because, of course, I thought it was cool. I'm like, that is so cool. And like a minute later, they pull up and she's there. So we do the whole thing. We go to the back. And when we're walking back, I kind of wanted to say, I think maybe your mom is here, but I
Yeah.
didn't
Uh-huh.
know. And I said something like, she said something about one of the pictures that's an old picture. I said, "Yeah, that's this building." She says, "Oh, I thought it was a ghost because one of the pictures looks kind of, I don't, it's an old picture, looks kind of filmy." And I said, "Well, we're haunted." And she said, "Oh, don't say anything like that to me." She said, "I'll run out of here." So I knew not to say anything.
Yeah.
All right. So then everybody leaves. And I mean, the boys, I sent them to lunch, and I mean, he was terrified. He said, I've never heard anything and not, I mean, I've never heard a voice and not seen someone there before. I said, I've never heard anything that loud and that clear. It was unreal. And so then everybody was gone, and I go back to the back, and we had all the little lamps on in the back room because we were showing off for all these people that were coming down. And so I go through and I start turning all the lamps off, and I get up to the front to turn the main light off and turn around, and they were all back on.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It was
And
her
I said,
mom, Kim. I'm
huh?
being told that was her mom. That was her mom. And
It was so cool. I mean, it was so
yeah,
cool. And so she's not a ghost that lives there, but I
yeah,
think she was just there to come see her mom. So that's why I
yeah.
think that we have lots and lots of visitors, lots and lots
Hmm.
of visitors. I mean, I think because it's open. I mean, I always say, they were here first. They let us stay there, and as long as they're nice to me, I love it. I love it. But they did scare my little boy half to death. He was scared
Oh.
to death.
And I
But I
know
was
you
glad
go all
somebody
out.
saw it. Huh?
You go all out on Halloween too. You decorate up
We
the place
Yes,
and
we're getting ready right now. We are in the process.
And
We love it.
I agree with the welcoming and any kind of
Mhm.
family environment, any positivity that's given off brings more positivity. I mean, that's true in everyday life, but then you pull it together with a place that has history, with all the theories about
Mhm.
the elements that exist there and the brick and the stone and all the stuff.
Yeah.
All comes together at one place. And so I believe too. I know Christy's like, Kathy's rolling her eyes at this, but no, I mean, it's more of the how do you rationalize it, and according to what our theories are when it comes to the paranormal, and like that positive energy absolutely would
Oh,
bring
yeah,
that.
for sure. Yeah. And I don't get anything malicious at
Yeah.
Kindles. I never have.
Mm-mm.
I mean, you do have the three classic ghosts that are there, and we'll get into them, in a little bit, but it's nothing that's malicious that you're going to take something home and create a haunting. Nothing
Might
like
take a
that at
couple
all.
of cinnamon rolls, but that's about
Yeah. No,
it.
Or a
no,
chicken fried steak in a box.
Right.
I'm excited. I always want to, I'm always careful to let everyone know that this is not some kind of, and that's why we have at least once a week, I have paranormal groups from all over the country ask to come and do it. And I never let them because I feel protective of these spirits,
Sure.
I want, as you see this stuff on TV where they're in there screaming and yelling, and I don't know
Mhm.
what it is. I don't understand it. I mean, no, we can't understand what it is. And but I'm not about to let, somebody come in there and start screaming and yelling and acting crazy. Number
Yeah.
one, because I don't want that energy in there. And we're still there the next day after they leave and bring that
Mhm.
crazy in. No, thank you. I don't know what they would bring in with them because I think that, like in the story I just told, I don't think that spirit is at Kendall's. I think she was there for her daughter and probably left
Mhm.
when she did. And, so I don't know what people bring in, but if they're not there for good and God, they can't come. It's that simple. And we don't ever let anybody else in there. And I'm not just saying that to be nice to you. It's the truth. I won't
Oh,
I
I
won't
know. I've
people in.
known throughout the years. And well, that's the thing too, is you provoking. I know there's some groups out there that provoke, and that's just to get something recorded. And that's an absolutely no in my group. And you know that I don't put up with any
Hmm.
of that. Because, like you said, not only are you disrespecting the spirits that there, but the home or the business owners have to come back and deal with that. They're there constantly. And so it's just not worth it. And ghosts are people too, regardless of other people's viewpoints. I'll always say that they are people too, just in a different form, different state of
Hmm.
consciousness. So you have to respect that. Do you remember, Kim, your first employees reported paranormal experience, like where they actually came to you and said, hey, look, something ain't right here, or tell you about what they
Hmm.
experienced?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. A lot of the girls in the beginning, especially a lot of the girls that were brunettes. I started noticing the pattern with shorter, shoulder length brunette hair
Hmm.
consistently were saying that they felt their hair being pulled, that they had just little things like things being knocked over on their trays. It was never a blonde. It was always that. And so after a while, I started really thinking that maybe there was something to it. And then in the kitchen, we had a guy that worked for us, that big, strong guy that came from California, had been in a gang out there and was my protector. And he came in one day, or he came to work one day and opened the door, and it kept pulling back on him and pulled him in. And it scared him so bad that he went outside and called me and said he wouldn't go back in until somebody else was there. And so I believe, there were lots of people saying things, but lots of customers that would say in the very back room and what we used to call the kid room, customers and employees saying that their children said there were other children in there playing in the play area. And that I don't like. That kind of seems, number one, it seems kind of scary. Number two, it really breaks my heart if that were true. It breaks my heart that there were kids in there.
Right. Well, I do know that we got one child's voice recorded while we were there, and it was actually in that same area that you're
Mhm.
talking about. And it's hard to tell, when kids are so young, if it's a little boy or a little girl's voice, but it clearly says play.
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember that EVP that we sent you, and if you still don't have it, we could, send that back to you, but we'll definitely have to play that in this Kindle's episode.
Yeah.
So,
We've actually had some parents say that they didn't want to sit back there because their kids said they saw something. And it was, I mean, I always say that's not a scary thing in itself. It seems kind of scary, but we've never had anything scary happen. But we have had some people in that particular room. We don't have the play area there any longer after COVID, but we still do have kids that won't go back there. So
Have they ever reported like what the kids look like? The ghost kids that they're seeing? Boy, girl, what they're wearing?
boy, always a boy,
Okay.
always a boy.
That's interesting though, because we've had other locations that were formerly funeral parlors that I think that's another potential for activity and
Mm-hmm.
history and the time frame of when it was one would put you back when kids and flu and illnesses,
Right.
probably a lot of children that might have gone through there. I mean, just theory based of what brings a child to that location. Because I like to connect things with the history and the family of the stuffle beans in the grocery store that those kids all grew up. So it's
Mm-hmm.
likely either something transient or maybe something connected to that part of the history in that area.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure. And something else that I've never understood though is I know there are things out there that are called soul collectors, and we won't get into that. That's another episode. However, yeah, I mean, they keep spirits there regardless. But what I've never understood about children's spirits is why they are here. If they are innocent, they should automatically transcend upon their death unless they do choose to stay, say they're looking for their mommy or their daddy or whatever it may be, but most of them are very innocent souls. And I would think, from what I know, that they would be greeted at death by an angel to take them over or whatever. So weird that happens. So no
Mhm.
reports of a little girl, Kim. It's just the little boy.
Yes, as far as I can remember. I mean, I've been there a long time, but no, I can't remember a little girl. Mm-mm.
And has it been a while since you've had reports of the little boy from people?
Yes, it has been a while.
Yeah.
So what do
Yeah.
guests claim that they see most of? Man, woman, just the little kid? What are the main sightings there well, I guess not just by guests, but by employees as well?
Most people don't say that they see anything. They get locked into the bathroom. That's a common thing. Doors.
Mhm.
It's in mostly in that hallway of that. I have seen something one time, and it was just it came right in front of me, and it was in broad daylight, and it was just a form. And of all the years that I've been there, you'd think I would have seen something, but I really only that one time did I see something. I don't really see. They always tell me that they hear something, they hear their name a lot. That is that is weekly that someone says that they were standing there and they heard somebody say their name. So sometimes I even kind of doubt that, because I don't know, that seems unlikely. And I don't know, we're talking about a lot of kids, but we do have lots of adults there that say the same thing, that they feel something, that they hear something. The bathrooms in the hallway, we've had a couple of customers say that they couldn't get out of the bathroom door. They get in there and they can't get out, but we're able to open it. And
Well,
that's
and I
and not
remember we tried debunking that if maybe there was something wrong with the
Mhm.
doorknob and it seemed
hmm
normal.
that happens, and we've changed the doorknobs on those. I don't know how many times I've changed the doorknobs, and it still happens consistently,
Wow.
especially with one bathroom, what we call the men's bathroom. And oddly enough, it's men that get locked in there and they get panicked, absolutely
I wonder if the ghosts have a sense of
panicked.
humor.
And we cannot, and then we can just open the door, and I know they think that we're doing something. Believe me,
Wow.
that is, I would not
Oh.
lock somebody in the bathroom, you know.
Sorry, guys.
Did you wash your hands?
Right?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
It's yeah. So that would be it. Not a lot of people have seen things,
Right.
to be honest.
And of all the times we've investigated, I don't think we've had shadows or pictures. It's all been audio,
Yeah.
EVP, those feelings. And funny. I remember you talking about getting touched, the
Mhm.
girls, and you said specifically brunettes with shoulder length hair.
Mhm.
And early on, I think it was the first time we investigated, that was one of the personal claims that I had sitting in that back hallway. Like somebody brushed right by my hair and just kind of flicked it. And I had shoulder length at that time. So
You did.
that was a detail I hadn't heard from you before until today.
Yes.
Does that
Yes.
make you believe a little more, Miss
Oh, I didn't
Skeptic?
doubt the when I got touched by that one time, but it's interesting there that connection and the brunette and the short hair.
Well, and on video, we also got the flashlight. Remember back there in what used to be the little kids' room?
Yes.
We did the
Hmm.
flashlight experiment. We
Yeah.
got that one done and on video. So we'll have to share that one again with on our Facebook and our Instagram pages as well. So do you feel like, Kim, when we came out, our group, OKPRI, were we able to give you some validity about what you had going on there, you feel like?
Absolutely. It was really nice. And I mean, I was anxious for people that would actually try to debunk it. I mean, I really was. And if it were some kind of an electrical thing or I was really anxious, and it did make me feel better that because after a while you do start to feel like you might be imagining some of these things, and
Mhm.
it was nice to have somebody else.
Yeah.
It's always nice. Like I said, that story the other a minute ago. I mean, I heard it. I mean, I have no question. It wasn't, I mean, I whirled around, but boy, it sure was nice to have somebody else have heard it too. It feels nice to have
Right.
somebody validate what you're experiencing, especially whenever you're in a building as much as I'm in a building. And I think that these spirits, I think they like me. I mean, I like them, and I think that whenever we had a television show, a web show came, and they asked if they could do some stuff with us. So I had to stay there with them that night.
Mhm.
And they were very skeptical. That was that what they were there was to disprove everything. And they really they couldn't get anything. They were trying to talk. They had all these different pieces of equipment and nothing would work. And we were sitting there, and finally I started talking. And when I started talking, the equipment started going crazy. It all started lighting up and all of that. So they started saying, well, it's only working whenever you're talking. And then we went into another room. They talked and everything. And I sat right there. And I have never experienced this before, but I was sitting at the round table in that middle room. And all of a sudden, I felt so cold. It felt like an air conditioner vent was blowing on me, and they had one of the temperature deals, and the temperature dropped immediately. And the camera guy standing beside me, he felt it too, looked everywhere, couldn't figure out why it was doing that. But every time that I would start to talk, the lights would go off and it would get cold right where I was, and the temperature deal would, I would say, I feel cold again. And right at that time, the temperature deal would go off, and they couldn't get any activity other than whenever I talked. So that's another reason that I think that it's interesting that whenever you guys come, there is activity. The
Yeah.
flashlights and all that stuff. They couldn't get anything to happen,
Wow.
but they were skeptical and they were very, I guess, kind of sarcastic and all that. And I told them at one point, I said, "Well, I wouldn't show up. I mean, these are not performers. They're not here to perform for you.
Exactly. They're
You
people
know,
too.
Right. And
That's
we've
right."
been there.
And
We've been
and
there a few times to where like even we didn't have much luck. So uh,
mm-hmm.
it's kind of off and on and whether they want to communicate or
So this wasn't another paranormal team. This was just like they wanted to record a show about it, Kim, as I'm understanding
Yes,
that
yes,
correctly.
they were going. It was a web show, and they were going around. They went to a lot of very famous places that are haunted because they were trying to debunk. And they asked me if they could do it, and I said, I don't care. I mean, try to debunk it. I don't care. I'm way past trying to convince somebody that that it's real. I don't care if you believe it or not. I mean,
you know
I
what
know
you
what
know,
it
what you've
is.
witnessed.
And
Yeah.
here's the thing,
Yeah.
the spirits that reside at a certain place for whatever reason, they know who was there all the time. They know, the energy, say for like you, for example, they know that you're good at heart and that you got their best interest. And so, of course, they're going to be protective. They're like a caretaker
Hmm.
to the place too.
I
which
feel that way.
Which was the intent we had going into is
we need to
Hmm.
get back there.
especially, I think just being a group that really loves the history of a place and
Hmm.
respects that history and looks for the potential in that, just all the opportunities for people to love a place, their business, their family grew up there. You know, you've named it after your daughter. They see that similarity in how you perceive that same location. So
For
we
sure.
feel that too when we go in. So we're usually going in to help you, like you said. Are we seeing the same thing
Yeah.
you're seeing? And you know, and
And
can we
that,
explain certain things so we can focus on where the true activity is? And that's the intent we usually bring.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It's probably been what, about a year since we've been out there, Kim, as far as
Hmm.
investigating.
Maybe
A
more.
year or two. Hmm.
Yeah. It's been a
Yeah.
while.
So maybe it's time to go back and check the activity. What do you think, Kim?
We would love for you to come back.
We'll do that.
We would all love for you to.
So we are going to host a public event there, a ghost hunt at Kendall's,
Yes.
and it's going to be October the 18th. And
Yes.
like, if our listeners are interested in going there, we'll give you a little history background, in the beginning. And, but
Investigating 101.
yeah, on
Hmm.
investigating tips, but
How to investigate with respect too.
yes,
There you
with
go.
respect, of course. And, we encourage guests to bring their own equipment if you have a camera or an audio, recorder, and you'll be guided by our team, of course. But that's coming up October 18th, and you just contact Kim at Kendall's.
Wait, and you can go onto our website, the Kendall's Restaurant website, and click on events. And on the event, you can click on there and you can actually pay online and secure your seat.
Yeah, because it
So,
is limited to 30 guests that are able to do this event. And we try to, split everybody up when we do it, and lights go out. So you definitely need a flashlight as well. So,
and I think that we talked about, there's another room in the building, and my daughter Kendall now has it as a beauty shop, and people have seen
yeah.
things through the window in there, and she said that it would be absolutely fine for us to go back there and look around. We've never done it in there before,
Oh,
so
right.
that'll be kind of fun, a new place.
Well, I know a couple of us, though, when we're outside investigating the building of Kendall's, we've actually seen an apparition or a shadow. I can't remember. A couple of our members have
Hmm.
back there in the
Hmm.
barber shop.
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, does your daughter experience things back there in the back too, Kim?
She hasn't said anything. Of course, they're, always busy and it's loud and all that. I don't know that she's ever been there in the evening by herself, so she hasn't. But I have had guests say, that they saw something in the window, and you guys said you saw something in the window.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it might be fun to go in there and see if there was somebody in there.
Yeah, absolutely. New territory for us. And let's do that. We'll set something up with you before the event to actually come out and check that out. I think that would
Okay.
be good. And hey, are you, I guess another question, a couple more questions here. Are you okay with Kindle's being known as haunted? And do you feel like this has hurt your business any or helped the business any?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if it's hurt us or helped us. It just is. So it's kind of like it just is. And I don't hide from it, but I also don't particularly. I know that a lot of people that have, a religious background
Mhm.
sometimes are afraid of that. And
Right.
so I am extremely careful and, respectful of that, because I don't understand it. I don't think that it is, a demonic thing, but
Right.
I
For
know that
sure.
some people do feel that way. So I try to be very respectful, and I don't push it down anyone's throat, but it just is. It just
Yeah.
is. I
So
mean,
like
I
if they
can't,
inquire.
Yeah.
yeah. So if anybody asks, I tell them, and just tell them our experiences, and they can go from there with it.
Judge for themselves. Yeah, that's
That's
kind of how
right.
when we put our stuff out there online, that's kind of how we do it. We just put it, here's what it is, and you make up your own mind about it. Even with a lot of our clients,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
you do have to be respectful of everyone's
Mm-hmm.
viewpoint. So for sure. And do you have any future plans for Kindles as far as like expanding or open up more restaurants or anything like that?
We are currently working with our cinnamon rolls, And we, like I said, we are remodeling, and we've bought a food truck, and we are starting to ship the cinnamon rolls nationwide. We've been shipping them, and we're opening up a little cinnamon roll shop,
Wow.
and it has some coffee, and it'll be ready whenever you guys come for the deal. If hopefully it's taking longer than we anticipated, but yeah, so we're transitioning into the future a little bit because I'm getting older. You said we don't talk about our age, but I'm about to turn 65. And so I've got to, I got to think about the end here a little bit and what the future of Kindles is.
I
So,
love that idea. Food trucks are so popular right now too,
mm-hmm.
and
Are.
online and shipping, and people who visit love it and would
Yes,
love to keep going.
I know
Yes.
Give them as
it's,
gifts, and yeah.
yep, you can
Oh,
ship them wherever. It's a lot of work, but
Yeah.
that's kind of our future.
let me tell you something, Kim. I don't know. I just have this feeling that Kindles is going to continue long after. It feels like it's going to be around. Now, I can't tell you how I know that. I'm just telling you I know it. Um, and Kindles is well known in Oklahoma in fact, as being haunted. Do you remember? I don't remember. Oh, it was a news episode, I think. Wasn't it a year ago, Kim, that our
Mm-hmm.
local news did like the top 10 haunted
Yes.
places in Oklahoma? And weren't you listed as number 5 at
Yes.
Kindles?
And
Yeah.
Food Network, Food Network has a big deal that every state, what's the most haunted restaurant in the state? And we were it. And I mean, I don't know how you'd know how they know that. I kind of laughed. It's like, okay. So they did some kind of a poll, some scientific deal that we're the ones. But
Or
I mean,
AKA
I think it's
Google.
funny. I think it's funny.
Yeah, I remember contacting you after I saw that, and I was like, "Hey, did you know that Kindles made the news?" And yeah, I was all excited.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah. Lots of people love it. I mean, I think for the most part, and I do think that that's hopefully because I mean, I'll send you my little flyer that I'm doing for the ghost hunt in a minute, and I had Catherine's really good at making those for me, and I got a Scooby Doo deal for it, because I want to always
Be
this is
lighthearted.
fun.
Yeah.
This is
yeah,
fun, and I want it to be fun, and I don't want it to be frightening, and because it's not, we just don't
right.
understand it. We just don't
Yeah,
know what we just don't understand it, and it's not. I mean, for me, it's not terrifying. I know for some there have been things in my life that were not as fun with the paranormal, and I've had those things, but this isn't. So I want people to and I do think that there's been a lot of change over probably the last decade of people being a little more accepting of what they don't
sure.
understand, and that it isn't. Maybe that's some of these television shows or whatever. I don't know, whatever. Like I said, it just is. I can't change it. I mean, I can't do anything about it, and I'm not going in there trying. Like I said, they were there before me. They just let me stay there, and maybe they're having the same conversation. Like, I guess we'll let her stay. We won't let her off.
Well, and you were mentioning Scooby Doo, and I had to laugh because I remember that little video that
Yes.
you and
Yes.
some of your staff made, and you were
Mhm.
recreating, like, imitating Scooby Doo. It was really funny. In fact, we still have that
I think we
video, and
do.
we show that at,
We can share it if that's okay with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
share that, and
We're
we'll
uh,
share.
we're we're getting ready to do some new TikToks, and my newest thing. Now, you guys, I don't know, you guys aren't old enough, but there was an old Don Knotts movie. It was my favorite uh, Halloween movie or scary movie. It was called The Ghost and Mr. Chicken.
Nope, I remember it. I've seen
Okay.
it. Uh-huh.
Okay. I
I'm telling
love
my
it.
age.
I
Oops.
love it. And Dee and I said we're gonna start a new TikTok series called The Ghost and Mr. Chicken Fried Steak.
I love
So
Ah,
it.
I love that. That is cute. What a great idea.
yeah. So
Wow.
and because if you remember the movie with the organ and all the stuff, so we're gonna have some
Mhm.
fun with that. We have lots of fun with it. So
Oh, good, good. Well, we'll share all of your links too, not only on
okay.
our podcast, but also, on our OKPRI page as we do, and then My Journey into the Soul. And we'll share all that and share the videos. Each each time one of our episodes comes out, we try to have something on our Facebook and Instagram pages. So that way our listeners can go back and listen or see, some of the things that we're talking about. And I mean, our podcast is really taking off. We have listeners in the UK and in
Yeah.
Mexico and in Canada and,
We're
the United
international.
States. Yeah, we've gone international. So we appreciate all of our listeners as well. So, well, do you have anything else that you would like to add to this, Kim?
Nope. I look forward to seeing you guys, and we'll have some fun.
Yeah, and we'll get out there again before the event happens. Maybe we can do that this month. I know you have your Kendall's Facebook page
Yes.
where you
We'll
can
put it
post
on
a
there.
link to it.
We
So,
would definitely do that.
all right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate it.
Always
Kendall's,
good to hear from you.
yes, Kendall's is always near and dear to our heart. But thank you again, Kim, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of this upcoming week. And we will be in touch with you soon. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Take care, dear.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So you can find us wherever you enjoy your podcasts, and thank you for listening.
Because the paranormal is the normal.
Not yet understood.